Have you ever thought of starting a blog? But then you think, what shall I blog about? I don't know anything that I can blog about. I'm not an expert. I can show you how you can blog without being an expert. My name is Nuria Corby and I'm from thehomeboss.com, and welcome to my channel, and I hope you enjoy this video. Okay, let's find your niche. So there's something I want you to do. Get a pen and paper or get a notepad, whatever you have to hand, and start writing some things down. I want you to start brainstorming, and that means you're just going to have to answer these questions that are on the screen as honestly and as accurately as you can. Don't worry about going into detail. I want you to go into detail and to write as much as you can about it. So the first question is, what are you passionate about? So I want you to write down what you feel passionate about. What is an interest that you've got that you really feel passionate about? It could be politics. It could be, I don't know, world peace. It could be homelessness. It could be something that you're really, or it could be gardening, or it could be your pet, something that you're really passionate about. That's the first thing I want you to write down. The second one is, what are you interested in? So maybe you're interested in traveling, or maybe you're interested in family, maybe you're interested in movies. So anything that you can think about that you're interested in. You can write down more than one thing, the more the better. So anything that you've got an interest in, please write that down. And then the next question is, what do you have knowledge in? What do you know? What do you feel you can talk about with a sense of knowing what you're talking about, with, that you can say to yourself, yes, I know this subject. I know I can talk about this. So that's another thing I want you to write down. It's quite close to the next question. It's related to the next question, and that is, what have you learned or what have you studied? It's different to the previous question, because the previous question could be something that you've learned from life, from living life. But what have you learned or what have you studied is really about what you learned at school, at university. Have you done any courses? So write down anything that you have learned officially, whereas the question before was really more about what you've learned unofficially. And the next question is, what is your career? What is your work? What do you do for a living? So you can answer that. If there's nothing you're doing at the moment, then obviously you can leave that blank. But whatever your job is at the moment, or maybe if you're not doing anything right now, write down what you've done in the past. Okay? And the next question is related to that as well, because it's, what is your ideal job? What would you do as a job if you could choose anything? If knowledge was no problem, if location was no problem, if qualifications were no problem, what would be your ideal job? What would you love to do? Write that down. It doesn't matter if it's something that you think is unachievable. Just write down what your dream job would be. And then the next question is, what kind of books do you read? Do you read novels, romantic books? Do you read biographies? Or actually write down the titles of some books that you've read recently? So just so you get an idea of what you like to read, just write it down. If you don't read books, maybe write down what magazines you read, or what do you read generally? Do you read newspapers? Do you just use social media? Anything that you read about, just write that down. And then the next question is, what kind of films do you like? Again, do you like comedies? Do you like adventure films? Do you like thrillers? Do you like horror films? Anything you like, write that down. The next question is, what do you watch on TV? So do you watch crime series? Do you watch soap operas? Do you watch documentaries? Again, just write down anything you can think of that you watch on TV. And then the next question is interesting. Think about what you could teach somebody else. And it could be something very simple. Maybe you speak a second language, so you could teach someone another language. Maybe you work in IT. I'm sure there's something you can teach people there. Maybe you work as a nurse caring for someone. There's things that you can teach somebody else from that experience. Maybe you've gone through something that's not easy to cope with. Maybe you've got a particular illness, or you've overcome a condition, or you've had a bereavement, something that you've coped with that you can actually teach somebody else how to do. So have a little think about that one. That is not easy to answer because it can actually surprise you. But try and think as broadly as possible on that question. The next one is kind of related because it's, what have you been through, or what have you overcome in life? So that could be anything like divorce, bereavement, illness, anything that you think you've overcome. Maybe you're dealing with anxiety, maybe you've had a mental illness, maybe you've dealt with a breakup of a relationship. So it could be a variety of things that you have been through, and we've all been through all sorts of things in life. So you're not alone in this, but in turn, it could be something that you can teach others, or write about for others to learn from. So have a little think. What have you been through, or what have you overcome in life? And then the last question is really, what can you talk about for hours? Is there a subject that you can talk about for ages and ages and you don't get tired of it? This might be a tricky one. Some of you will think, oh yes, I know straight away. And others may find this a little bit harder. But have a little think. If you can't think of an answer, ask your family or ask your friends and ask them, hey, what do you think I always talk about and I can't shut up about? What goes on your nerves that I always talk about? So that is one way of answering this question. So I really want you to take your time with this and write this down, because it's important going forward. It will really help you, when you read through it, find similarities between the questions, things that they all have in common, answers that you answer similarly for different questions. So that will direct you into the niche that you should be in. So let's get started on that after the video straight away. I want you to do that. And then let's have a look at what motivates other people. So the first question was really about you. All the questions were about you and what motivates you. But now we're looking at what motivates other people, because when we think of writing a blog, we're not writing it for ourselves, not if we're running it as a business. If it's a personal blog, as a hobby, then we can write about ourselves and it doesn't really matter. But because we want to make money from this blog, we need to really make it about the people that read our blog. So we need to find out what motivates them. So there are 6 things that I've pinpointed that really motivate people. The first one is wealth. We all want to be wealthier. We all want to have more money because it gives us more freedom. It gives us security and it gives us peace of mind. So wealth is one of the things that really motivates people. The second one is health. We all want to be healthier. We want to eat healthier. We want to feel healthier. Let's face it, without health, everything else is not really that important. So health is a really important motivator in people's lives. And then another thing that motivates people is beauty. We all want to look better. we all want to be liked. We all want to I don't know, be more attractive to other people. So that is another motivator for people, not for everybody, but for most people. I think it's safe to say that we all want to present ourselves the best way we can. And then another thing that motivates people is interests, like your passions, your hobbies, something you can educate yourself about. So we all have something that we like doing, whether it's reading, whether it's gardening, whether it's watching films, whether it's spending time with family. There is something that motivates different people. And then another one is relationships. Relationships motivate us because we all want to improve our relationships. Some of us want to be in a relationship. Some of us want to have better relationships. And with relationships, I mean any kind of human relationship. So it could be a relationship with a partner, a husband, a wife. It could be a relationship between parents and children. It could be a relationship between friends, or it could be a working relationship, relationships with our bosses or with our employees. So any kind of relationship, ways to improve it or creating it, that's something that motivates people. And then the last thing on our list is time. How does time motivate us? Well, we all like to save time. We all like to spend our time as in the best way that we possibly can. And we like to organize our time. So wealth, health, beauty, interests, relationships, and time, they're the main things that motivate people. And funnily enough, they are the top profitable niches when it comes to blogging. So the top money-making blogs are in the health niche, in the financial niche, in relationships, in beauty, in interest, and in organization, which is to do with time. So you have to think of your niche in that way, and it should fit into one of those categories. It should fit into one of the 6 main blogging niches. They're very broad niches, and we will have a look at how to niche down and break them down a little bit. But they are the 6 main niches that you should consider. And the other thing to consider is, when you look at those niches, what are people willing to pay for? Because you want to run this blog as a business, so you have to offer people value for money. You're offering them something in exchange for their payment. So if you are in the health niche, for example, you could be, what are people willing to pay for? Well, they're willing to pay for systems that will help them be healthier. They might be interested in an exercise regime, or they may be interested in special diets that can help them. They may be interested in a weight loss program or weight loss group. If you're in the beauty niche, you can really concentrate on how to apply makeup, for example, and where to buy that makeup. So people are willing to look better. They're willing to pay money to look better. So you may concentrate your blog on someone who has got problems with their skin and they want to have nicer skin. So they're willing to pay for achieving that. For example, if you are interested in education, so you would fall under the interests niche, you would probably pay for a course, or you would pay for a way to educate yourself. I know that's something that I'm particularly interested in, and I spend money on educating myself in certain things that I find interesting. I spend money on my hobby, which is gardening, for example. I think it's safe to say we've spent quite a lot of money. My husband will say, yes, we have. So that is something that we are interested in and we're spending money on. So everybody has something that they're willing to pay for because it's giving them something in their lives that they want and that they're willing to let go of their money to have that in their lives. So every niche that you've got in front of you, whether it's wealth, health, beauty, interests, relationships, or time, you need to find a way to incorporate the will of people wanting to pay for something that is covered by that niche. So you have to find your niche to blog, but you also have to consider what motivates other people, what value can you offer them, and will they be willing to pay for that. So that is the way you have to approach your decision on what to blog about. If you want to blog to create an income, if you want to blog to just have it as a hobby, to have a diary. Some people like to blog about their experiences like they're writing a diary. Then that's different. You can write about anything. But if you want to create a business from your blog, you have to bear these things in mind. So I just want to quickly talk to you about things that you shouldn't do. After having said all of this, I don't want you to overthink. It's more important that you actually start writing. Because once you start writing, things will fall into place. So don't feel that, oh, I don't know what my niche is. I really don't know what I'm going to write about. Maybe you've got 2 things in mind and you're not sure which one to choose. Just start writing. Just start writing any of the ideas, about any of the ideas that you've got, because your niche will find you in the end. Sometimes a blog starts out as one thing and then it becomes another, because the more you write, the more you find out what you really want to write about and what interests you. So it's more important to just start. And the second point is, don't start a niche because you think it's going to make money and you don't know enough about it. So it's all very well thinking, oh yes, this niche is going to make money, people are interested in this. But if you don't really know enough about it, it's not a good idea to start it. Make sure that it's something that you know about, that you feel confident in talking about, and you think it's going to make money. So if those 2 things combine, then you're stepping in the right direction. And the third point is, don't be afraid of competition. Some people think, oh, well, I'm going to write a blog about frugal living, saving money, budgeting. And someone will say, oh, so many people are already writing about that. There's a lot of competition. Well, that to me is a good thing, because if there's a lot of competition, it means that there's a lot of interest. A lot of people are interested in this. So don't be afraid of competition, because if we were afraid of competition, nobody would start anything. There's ideas that are becoming really popular now that have been around for 50, 60, 70 years or more. And because it's not new and because there's lots of other people writing about it, doesn't mean that you can't, because you will put your own spin on it. You will put your own experiences into your writings. So even if there's lots of other people writing about what you want to write about, don't be afraid of that, because you will give it your own stamp. You will give it your identity. It's what you are writing about, and that's always different. Every person is different. So don't be afraid of competition and just write about what you want to write about. So I have compiled a list of over 100 niche ideas, and they are to help you get started. So you can download these slides that I'm showing you right now and that list of over 100 niches by clicking in the link in the description under my video. The list are niche suggestions to help you on your way and to give you some ideas what you could blog about. So they're based on the 6 most profitable niches, which are wealth, health, beauty, time, relationships, and passions. And if your niche falls into any of them, you're going to be on your way to have a successful blog. One thing I will also say is you can break them down even further. For example, if you think of travel is a very broad niche, so you can narrow it down by choosing either travel in Europe, travel in Asia, travel in America, or travel as a family, or traveling with children, or traveling as a solo female. That will make your blog more focused rather than having, anything about traveling. It will be more niched down if you have it if you blog about something that's more focused. It's a bit like, instead of being a big supermarket, you're being a little boutique. So you're focusing on something that you can become an expert about. So that's why it's good to focus on a more narrow niche. Saying that, again, there are lots of bloggers who have made a success out of lifestyle blogs, and they focus on all sorts of things. So that is possible. But more often than not, people are more successful with a more focused blog. So you can apply that to any niche you choose. Try and narrow it down as much as you can. So having said that, to begin with, just start writing and don't worry too much. Blogs evolve over time, and what may start out as a travel blog may end up as a vegetarian recipe blog. If you don't find your niche right away, it will find you over time. One last thing. After your brainstorming session, where you've written everything down, all those questions that I asked you, ask your friends and family what they think your strengths are. Ask them what they think you are particularly good at. This might seem obvious, but very often they can add something that you might not have thought of or been aware of. Whatever you do, make sure your choice of niche is something that you can talk about for hours and that you like talking about. You've all heard of writer's block, where people just can't write anything, but nobody has ever mentioned talker's block. So we can all talk about things, and a blog is really like having a conversation. A blog is like, what you're writing should be like you're writing something to your friends. So it needs to be something that you are not tired of talking about. So I hope this all helped, and don't forget to join our Facebook group for more advice and useful tips and great support from people in the same situation as you. So the link is in the description under my video, and I hope this helped you to find your niche, and hopefully you're well on your way to starting your blog. So what do you think? Do you know what you're going to blog about? Maybe you're not so sure still, but that doesn't matter. Just have a little think about it, go over the points that I mentioned in my presentation, and see what you think. Maybe tomorrow you sleep on it a couple of days and some idea will come to you, I know it. And if you know what you're going to blog about, then that's fantastic. Then let's do this together. I can help you with this. If you go to thehomeboss.com and you subscribe to this channel as well, don't forget to ring the little bell and subscribe so that you can get all my videos in your inbox as soon as they come out. And hopefully you will be a blogger very soon and we can make this a success. So fantastic. I'm so happy you're here and we can do this together. Take care.